virtual reality, cloud computing, cyber security, blockchain. I think all of these subjects are going to touch the lives of every individual. Maybe all of these applications may not be used by everyone, but by and large, at least they will all be affected by Internet of Things. They will all be affected by artificial intelligence because there will be software created, mobile apps created, which will have AI content embedded into it. And depending on the nature of work that individual is doing, their life will become much more easier, smoother, and then they will be in a position to operate much more efficiently, more productively. For example, a farmer, instead of going to the field and then starting the pump and then operating it for a particular period of time, need not worry at all. He will be at home. And as and when water is available, as and when electricity is available, automatically the pump will start, and it will also keep testing what is the quantum of water required in the field, in the farm. And then once that much of humidity and that much of water is reached, sensors will get back to the same system which had started the pump, and it will switch off the pump. So I think our job is done. Same is the case with today. We have lots of jobs for drivers for educational institutions to people who afford. They recruit a driver for driving their vehicles, and they themselves may not be driving. Tomorrow, the driving will become so automated that you can send your daughter or son of age of 3 or 4 to the school or to some picnic and put the Google map and say that the daughter has to be dropped at XYZ place, and put her into the car, start the car, and it will go. And it will negotiate all the traffic that exists, will take wherever there is a possibility of speeding up and taking over other vehicles or braking it when required, and then safely will drop down daughter and come back or stay there till return. And the timing of the return is also, if it is already put onto the application, at that time the child will be warned to get into the car and then it will back at home. I think these are all not fantasies. These are all started happening already in terms of some of the applications in some of these countries. Then comes the electric vehicles. We have pollution which is creating problem in larger cities, be it Chandigarh, be it Delhi, be it Calcutta or Mumbai. How do we take care of this pollution? One of the problems is that of the huge traffic that exists in our cities, and therefore how effectively we can reduce it by using electric vehicles. And this is what requires to be doing a lot of research. So all technologies which we are talking about. Similarly, if you are driving back home and you want to have a fresh glass of juice, or you want to have a garam chai, and you just put in what is your requirement. As soon as you go home, the micro oven, or whether it is gas, would have already taken off. It would have boiled the tea, or from the fridge it would take off the cool juice onto the glass, and then you are served by maybe a robot, who knows. Because if your partner, spouse, I'm saying spouse, not wife, because many times this is where we have to send signals. So if you say spouse, if wife is working and she's coming back home, husband has to give a cup of tea to wife, and similarly the other way around. And therefore, if both are not there, there may be a robot which will do all of this activity for you and then serve it. So your job is done. I think these are some of these things. Looks like Asimov's novels, which about 30 years ago when they were there, people assumed that this is all fantasy, not possible at all. Even today, when we see serials like Mahabharata and Ramayana, some of those stories and some of those interesting episodes, we assume that it is impossible. For example, I remember, when Duryodhana was or Dushasana were walking around there, and it appeared that it is a plain land, and actually there was water, and he fell down into the water. So similarly, somewhere you feel that there is a door, and you go and hit your head into that. These are all nothing but different types of materials. Maybe smart materials, maybe illusions which are created, And this is being reflected in terms of, we assume that they were stories, but who knows, they were all in existence. We lost some of that probably, and then we need to reinvent them as well. So I think the challenges are plenty in terms of whether it is ancient science, whether it is in terms of metallurgy, whether it is in terms of Ayurveda, whether it is in terms of yoga, whether it is in terms of, the very iron pillar which is there in Delhi, not rusted for several centuries. Can you imagine? Even a best quality steel produced today, if you keep it outside in the atmosphere near the seashore, within a matter of months, it will get corroded. But there is an iron pillar standing there. That means the metallurgical knowledge and a variety of knowledge in terms of astronomy, knowing about the stars, the galaxies, the timing when the actual, whether it is solar or lunar eclipse starts, the kind of calculation, the mathematics behind all of that, we must be knowing about it. We should be proud about it, but we should not only bask in the ancient glory, but how those knowledge systems can be made relevant to today, how it is going to be effective today. And that's why I started off with Corona, of the COVID crisis of 1 year. If you look at the population, the thick population, and so near to each other. In most of the cities, we all live almost touching to each other. Go to the Bombay slum, the houses are absolutely adjacent to each other. So whether I'm in my house or your house is also not realized. To that extent, we are thickly populated. Despite that, the number of cases, number of deaths are so small. That is because of our own food habits, our own systems of taking care of ourselves, whether it is use of haldi, use of neem, use of all variety of products which we use either in day-to-day life, in our daily food, or some of them we use it on the occasions of festivals. Neem is eaten on a particular New Year day actually, although it is very bitter. The reason is it has its own significance. I think these kind of things which we had in our ancient science and knowledge, we unfortunately did not think about all of these in terms of scientific thinking. We thought that it is a ritual, it is a religious thing, it is something dogmatic, it is andhashraddha. I think because of such tags being associated with that, we never explored them. My young generation, my young students who are there, they must be listening to me now. They should explore each one of them. Maybe some of that, Tulsi is there in every home. We prayed. The reason is it has so many medicinal values. Same is with respect to the banyan tree. Why in every temple there is a big banyan tree? It gives maximum oxygen. Have you invented or investigated what are the different facets of each one of them? I think therefore on one side there is a wisdom of the ancient India. On the other side there are huge number of technologies which have emerged. We should not claim that everything was here. Please understand that also. And some of these things which have gone from here to there, and then again they developed it further, and it is coming back to us. So we have both what we call in music, the Eastern music and Western music. When you do it together, you call some kind of synthesis. So this is also a synthesis of East and the West in terms of not only spirituality, but also in terms of science. If you do that, and develop new technologies which will be more effective, more useful, using all these terminologies which I have been using, AI, IoT, machine learning, deep learning, I am sure we will produce some of these gadgets, products, processes from out of campuses. I'm talking about campuses. Not that after graduation, someone will work for 5 years, 10 years, and then create a startup. And then out of that, some jobs are created, but I'm talking about when they are still on the campuses. And this talent exists in our country because another reason I keep on remembering one of my mentors in College of Engineering, Pune, when I was director, I always remember Kohli Saab, Dr. Fakir Chand Kohli, the one who started Tata Consultancy Services with 6 employees, and it has grown into one of the largest multinational companies, recruiting people from nearly 100 odd countries. The company gives jobs to not just Indians, but 100 odd countries. So that is the visionary that he was. So I worked under him. And he used to often tell me, as a director, he was the chairman of the board of governors, that Anil, if God is there, God is never partial. He would give equal intelligence to everyone. So if the world's 1/6 population is in India, out of 7 billion approximate population, we are 1.3 billion. That means 1/6. So 1/6 intellect also must be in India. 1/6 research publications should come from India. 1/6 products of the world should come from India. 1/6 patents should come from India. 1/6 best companies should be from India. Why are we not able to achieve that? Something what is missing, we need to do it. That's what he used to often lament. And he used to say that our Indian languages are so rich, starting from Sanskrit to whether it is Hindi, whether it is Punjabi or Gujarati or Marathi or Kannada or Tamil or Telugu, each one of these are so rich in terms of vocabulary, in terms of knowledge, in terms of not only literature but also ancient science. Unless we study all of these languages in the right perspective and create our operating systems in these languages. A person on a farm, a person in the industry, in a village, in a small company, will not be able to use computers as effectively as it is happening in the cities. All those of us who are educated, we know Linux, we know Windows, and all of these are in English. So we can easily use them. A person in the farm, a labor there, or somewhere in a workshop, someone working in Tata Steel or someone working in Infosys as a labor, peon, attendant, in your college, university, these people will not be knowing as much English as we know. And therefore, if we were to empower them, we must have had developed, not only we missed the bus in terms of hardware, certainly we missed the bus. He lamented that also, that we could not catch up. Many of the countries like eastern side, whether it is South Korea, whether it is Taiwan, whether it is even Malaysia, they all have hardware development in electronics, whereas we missed the bus. That is because the government of the day then did not support. They thought that we have in Chandigarh, we have a semiconductor institute there. They will be able to create a chip, or BEL will create a chip, is the imagination which we had. And if we had collaborated with maybe Intel, with probably IBM, we would have got chip industry in India and we would have ruled the whole world. But anyway, we must that, but we caught up in terms of software industry. So India today also is recognized as an IT giant in the whole world. So if it was only for the world, or our citizens also to be helped, and if our citizens were to be helped, our operating systems should have been in Hindi, in Punjabi, in Gujarati, in Bengali, in Assamese, in Tamil and all that. If we had done that, probably every nook and corner we would have created entrepreneurs. Today we talk about AI, IoT is not for only English medium educated people, but it could have been also created by a person from a Hindi or Punjabi background. I think that is what he was lamenting. So I think the time has not lost. Our young students who are creating great applications. AICT started its Smart India Hackathon about 4 years ago. And Honorable Prime Minister is so passionate about hackathons that every year when we conduct hackathon, which is a 36-hour long hackathon, first day inauguration is done at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning. And when about 12 hours are spent by students, he comes in the late evening, night, around 10 o'clock and speaks to students of different regions, different centers for about 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and inspires them. And looking at the quality of the products that are coming out from undergrads, they are all second year, third year. In your university, maybe many are postgraduates, but I'm talking about even first year, second year students of engineering. Forget about that. Now Niti Aayog has what is known as tinkering labs in schools, and some of the kids from 6th and 8th standard who are also today being taught artificial intelligence, they are creating products. So there is huge strength which exists in our ecosystem, and if you are able to tap it, if you are able to use it, I'm sure in the days to come, the new Googles of the world, new Apples of the world will come from India and not from US. I think that is the strength which all of us do have. But how do we really do it? And that is where hackathons of this nature, Ideathon, which we are holding, our own Ideathon, our own drug discovery hackathon, which is ongoing, for detecting different types of drugs or vaccines for the COVID itself, or in the future, if something else comes up, for that, how are we going to be prepared? I think all of this, and when there are the crisis, in terms of whether it is earthquakes or floods, and typhoons which come in, so many people's lives get affected. How do we reach out to them? The different types of applications in the agriculture, in terms of what seed is to be sown so that your productivity can be higher, when is to be watered, when the crop is to be taken, in which market it has to be sold so that you will be more profitable. These are all possible from the simple mobile apps. Similarly, healthcare. Healthcare is also important in nooks and corners. Probably we don't have doctors, we don't have hospitals. So how, by using on one side the disease to be diagnosed from a distance by the doctor, and then depending on what is the medicine required, can we have a drone to go and supply that to that particular destination? I think all the new technologies which I am talking about are all possible to be made use of in terms of development, for the life to be made easier, smoother, comfortable for normal, ordinary citizens, not just people who are living in the cities. That is the power of technology. We often talk about digital divide, but digital divide will not be there provided the government has set up all the possible things in terms of fiber connectivity to the nooks and corners. A year ago, about a year and a half ago, the government declared that the last village in India, in Nagaland, was also electrified. Today, electricity has reached every nook and corner. Tomorrow's vision of the Prime Minister is to make internet available in every village, not just available, very robust, very stable, high bandwidth internet, and from initially at least the common service centers to down to every home. I think both electricity and internet, unless they reach every nook and corner, every hamlet, whether in forest or in tribal area or in remote village, we will not be able to call ourselves Atmanirbhar Bharat. And for Atmanirbhar Bharat, the real requirement is just provide this. Then the second one will obviously be use of the devices are required, and these devices by day and day in and day out, year after year, are becoming cheaper and cheaper. What used to be a supercomputer, I very well remember still there was a sanction after our second blast, nuclear blast, where it took place. No country in the world was allowed to give us technology in terms of supercomputing. Our own indigenous CDAC developed supercomputers. We are all aware. Param, which started with series of Param series, and we have our own parallel computing supercomputers. So when there is a sanction, the same was the case with ISRO. ISRO did not get liquid propulsion technology, and we developed our own liquid propulsion technology. So if the world sanctions, in fact, it is blessing in disguise. We create that technology ourselves. And this young generation has all that capability. So if we have to take the two things together, there is a possibility that we will be able to create all variety of technologies of the future using all this, what I am stating here. But one very significant and important thing about the culture of India, about our ethos and values, is that we never ever either went with an arm in our hand and then tried to usurp the land of the others. Many other countries did it on us also, in many other countries, but we never did it. And this is what Dr. Abdul Kalam used to often say. We are the only country in the world who never tried to attack anyone else. But if there was an attack, we always protected ourselves. And therefore, our cultural ethos have continued. And two significant slokas in our entire vocabulary in Sanskrit, whether it is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is the entire world is one family. Today we all talk about all the nations of the world have to come together and we are all one family, nature, etc., is all embedded in our ancient culture. Then along with that, Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Let the whole world be happy is what we often say. We never say that I have to be happy. I always say that the entire world should be happy. When we say entire world, it is not merely the humanity, that is human beings, but including nature, including plants, animals, everyone has to be happy. I think that is the spirit which we have. And in the right spirit, whatever 2 vaccines were indigenously developed, not only we started giving those doses to our own countrymen, but we have given it to more than 11, 12 countries as well. So the true sense of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu is practiced in terms of distribution of vaccines to so many countries, and all free of cost. And there are some companies, I today only was watching one of the WhatsApp videos, some companies of the West, they are putting such conditions on those countries where they are supplying these vaccines that you must have a collateral, your property to be mortgaged. I think, imagine, you are taking care of health on one side and then mortgaging the entire property. It means you are making them dependent. So whereas India, we have been giving vaccines free of cost to so many countries where it is needed. I think that is the spirit. So my young students, be proud of your civilization, be proud of your ancient ethos in terms of your science and technology, but don't rest there, but take it forward, take it to the next level and make the world, peaceful, better place to live in. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been quite inspiring for us to listen to you, quite enthusiastic. Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor R.P. Tiwari ji, to kindly say a couple of things about your talk today and address the gathering. Sir, over to you, sir. VC sir.
Hello, yes, can you hear us? Can you hear me, please? Hello?
Yes, sir, yes,
hello?
sir. Yes, sir, we can hear you. Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Haji,
sir.
Haji, you are audible, sir. You are audible.
Professor Anil sir. Professor Anil Sasgupta, Honorable Chairman AICTE, my colleagues, friends from Central University of Punjab, and my dear students. It has been wonderful listening to Professor nearly extempo nearly for 35 minutes without the help of any slide and all. I heard almost all major areas where youth of our nation can think for, innovations and entrepreneurship, right from use of technology to make the enhancing efficiency of the sector, and also India is not to concern and the fact is right from to the economically youth, and this can happen only when we can inculcate the habit of spirit of critical thinking, and we can expose to all sorts of skills, so the soft skill, life skill, and hard skills in our youth. And that can not happen in the classroom environment, unless we, our students get opportunity to go to industry for internship, for projects, for dissertations, and they go to society to understand the issues for which the solutions are to be offered. And also, unless they interact with each other and they are given chance to show their talent and also to throw ideas. Prasad Buddha was very right when he said that many great innovations have come from young age, and indirect geographic talent. And geographic talent properly opportunity to ahead of the water, all the everything, all production, one population to the important as possible. Then we were that time we excelled in almost all areas of culturalization, whether it is agriculture, whether it is trade, whether it is knowledge, education, everywhere. We excelled in the ancient past. Now we have to reposition ourselves. And the great leaders like Anil Sahasbuddhe-ji, and they are at the helm of the affairs. So I'm certain, I'm sure that the youth of the nation will get the type of opportunity which is necessary at this stage and the type of exposure so that they really become globally competent and they really become socially relevant, economically relevant, and help realize the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister in making our nation self-reliant. And also, this Ideathon should also focus on the local issues. That is what our Prime Minister wants, that we should be vocal for local. So we need to identify the local issues, whether it is socio-economic issues or technical. So with this, I'd like to thank Professor Anil Sahasbuddhe-ji for very kindly agreeing to our invitation and deliver a wonderful talk on this occasion. And once everything is all right, then we would like to have you for face-to-face interaction with our students. Until then, goodbye to you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I request Professor Rajkumar to kindly propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Anjana. Honorable Professor Anil De Sahasbuddhe-ji is Honorable Chairman AICT. So we are thankful to him for connecting with us, sharing his ideas, wonderful views regarding technologies and role and innovation. Honorable Professor R.P. Tiwari-ji, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, we are thankful to him for bringing such a good personality and giving his view with us. And our Registrar K.P. Mudraji, Professor Ramakrishna, Dean in charge academics, Professor Anjana Munshi, Dean research, all team members of Innovation Cell, Research Park, Incubation Cell and Institutional Innovation Council of Central University of Punjab, all the faculty members who have joined and listened to the lecture, and students for attending this Ideathon 2021 inauguration. So, sir expressed his views with respect to the new technologies, emerging technologies, and their role, like cloud computing, robotics, virtual learning, automation, artificial intelligence, and not only in the computer or IT field, but in the all fields with respect to, so all approaches, he gave the holistic approach, integrated how these approaches can be used in an integrated manner. Like I'm a pharmacy man, so I know from drug delivery, drug discovery, all the approaches can be utilized. So, and like this, other scientific fields can utilize these innovative methods. So we are thankful to Sir Anil sir for giving your wonderful views and thoughts and inspiring our students. Thank you very much, sir.
So thank you, everyone. Let us now stand for national anthem and close the event accordingly.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
थैंक यू। 3 बजे अब हमने मिलना है।